Hello, students. In this unit, we are going to learn about elegy, which is a different type of lyric poetry. As I said in the previous unit, where we learned about lyric poetry, elegy is also one of the types. And in this unit, we're going to learn about the meaning and characteristics of an elegy, and particularly a specific type of elegy called pastoral elegy. Now, what is elegy? An elegy is a lyric of mourning or a direct utterance of personal bereavement or sorrow. So, elegies were commonly seen as an expression of grief. So, the word elegy, it is derived from the Greek word elegia, which expressed grief, remorse, or apprehension. So, elegy was a prominent form of lyric poetry during the era of the classical Greek literature. An elegy is nothing but a sorrowful piece of poetry, generally written in memory of a last one or a person whom you have loved for a funeral. So, an elegy speaks about the movement tale of a person or a person's loss. So it is not a collective story of a group or race of people, which can be observed in the epic form of poetry. So it is unlike epic poetry. Elegy is something that is written in memory of someone, a person that was close to you, or or a loved one. The famous poet Coleridge, he defines elegy, quote and unquote, as a form of poetry natural to the reflective mind. It may treat of any subject, but it must treat of no subject for itself, but always and exclusively with reference to the poet. Elegy presents everything as lost and gone or absent and future. Now, let us see about the characteristics of elegy. Now, there are different characteristics. The first thing is, elegy begins with the lament of a loss of life of a person or loss of a thing. So the sorrow is followed by the poet's admiration for the person or the thing that the poet has lost. So in the second part of the construction of the poem, it is generally the lost person's qualities and remarkable performances or activities are endorsed by the poet. So an elegy is a kind of lyric poetry, as I said earlier, which focuses on expression of sentiments, beliefs, or opinions. The language and structure of an elegy is formal and ceremonial. So as we see, elegy is something that is written only at the death of a person. So during the funeral, an elegy is used. So obviously it will be formal and ceremonial. An elegy may be based on either the transience of life of a person or the attractiveness and magnificence of somebody close to the speaker's heart. An elegy may search answers to questions related to the nature of life and death of the body or immortality of the soul. It can be about anything that seeks answers to. An elegy also expresses the speaker's resentment or rage about a loss or demise sometimes. The third stage of elegy is about its consolidation. This element may be more religious. So these are the typical characteristics of elegy. Now, we are going to learn about a specific type of elegy called pastoral elegy. The pastoral elegy it is a form of poetry prospered in Europe during the period of Renaissance and as well as in the 19th century. The pastoral elegy is a poem which dwells upon the combined subject of death and sublime country life. So this form of poetry usually includes shepherds who express their emotions or poets who express their emotions. It takes the pastoral or rural components and connects them to the expression of sorrow on a loss. So as the word itself suggests, the pastoral, the poem will have the pastoral setting or a pastoral components along with the expression of grief. So the pastoral form of poetry has numerous significant characteristics like the solicitation of the contemplate manifestation of the sorrow or the heartache of the shepherd or the poet. Sometimes the pastoral elegies are also included as a mourner's procession. So the characteristics of pastoral elegy, it impacts the reader with its most characteristic form. It revolves around modest rural figures, and there is a stark difference between an ordinary pastoral poem and a pastoral elegy. An ordinary pastoral poem, it is just a poem with the pastoral settings and pastoral components, whereas in pastoral elegy, along with the rural components and pastoral setting, it mourns the loss of a person that you have loved. So this poem, this pastoral elegy, it would be most pertinent to bring about that the main character of the poem, may be a shepherd or the poet himself or herself. And generally, irrespective of what the deceased person's role or character may have been when he or she was alive. So the recently written pastoral elegies have been transformed in both subject and form. It is totally different from what it was in the traditional pastoral elegy. So the pastoral elegies of the modern times, they have been presented in somewhat more satirical form. However, some modern poets like William Carlos Williams and W.H. Auden, they still follow the original form of pastoral poetry, and they have written poems that withhold its traditional form and characteristics. The perfect example of elegy is Elegy written in a country churchyard by Thomas Gray, which was written in 1750. I'll read out the poem. The curfew tolls the knell of parting day. The lowing herd went slowly over the lea. The ploughman homeward plods his weary way and leaves the world to darkness and to me. Now fades the glimmering landscape on the sight, and all the air a solemn stillness holds, save where the beetle wheels his droning flight, and drowsy tinklings lull the distant foes. Save that from yonder ivy-mantled tower, the mopping owl does to the moon complain of such as wandering near her secret bower, molest her ancient solitary way. So this elegy, it is written by Thomas Gray, as I said, in the memory of his friend Richard West. It is a very well-known example of elegy, and in this elegy, the poet laments on the death of his friend. So he contemplates on the inevitability of life and death and consigns all men, irrespective of their class and status. He brings out a theme that all people are destined towards a fate of oblivion. So he personalizes this elegy. He talks about his beloved friend who is dead, and he mourns his loss through this elegy. So this is a type of lyric poetry that we have seen. Thank you.